Yeah, it's live. So we are finally live on YouTube as well. Just check normal items. Dipanda just wants to check YouTube if we are live now.
Live. Link reach live.
Great. So just let me turn on the recording for the session as well. Yeah, so the recording for the session is also started. Dipanda, just do one thing, share the YouTube's live stream link on all the WhatsApp groups.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So let me start with the first slide and today's topic. First of all, good evening to everyone. Uh, and this is a continuation to the compost camp event that is uh, happening in collaboration with Google around this time. So this is the day 3 part 1 of compost camp. I am Debarun Acharya, and I am going to take uh, the day 3 part 1 of Kotlin fundamentals. The part 2 will be taken by Dipayan. So I guess the audio is okay. The audio is okay and everything is visible. So just let me go to the next slide. So the next slide is generic data type. So I guess most of you have attended the last session that was uh, like delivered by Dipanda. That was on the basics functionalities of uh, Jetpack Compose. So today's event is about the generic data types. So what is generic data type? Let me say a few words on it. And in the meantime, just define the let everyone know about the like registration details of about the registration details of this meet. Uh, the GDSM and registration link. Okay. So let me continue with the generic data type. So, first of all, what is the need of this thing called generic data type, and what is generic data type at all? So, let me just provide an introduction to generic data types. So, uh, or what is the background of this need of generic data type? So, back in those days when we needed different properties for different types. For example, let us consider there were three classes, and three classes had three return types. Like uh, in three places, we used to write suppose the answer or return a value that was one of int, one of string, and suppose other was a boolean value. So what we had to do is we had to define either three functions to return three different data types, or create three classes with three data types. Now, what are classes and functions? I guess that was described back in those days. So just let me open the code editor and describe you about the thing in details. Just a minute. So just let me change the screen, and I would request if everyone is on laptop to open and code along with me on Kotlin Playground. I'm just providing the link. Panda, if you are there, can you please provide them the link of Kotlin Playground
Okay, okay.
so that they can also code along with us? So Kotlin Playground is a platform where we can run our Kotlin codes that we are going to discuss in this session. So Dipanda has provided the. Can you just pin this part? Can you just pin this part in the chat, yeah, because the YouTube thing has already been discussed among others. So let me just stop the screen sharing for this screen and share the Kotlin playground. Yeah. So I'm just sharing the Kotlin playground thing. Can you just confirm if this Kotlin playground is visible? So
Yeah.
basically, what we can do is,
Yes.
yeah. So basically, what we do here is uh, run some parts of the code and check the execution of it. Okay. So what is the thing that we are solving here is, suppose there are these three classes. For example, let me just delete this code and suppose there are these three classes. One class is returning a string, one class is returning a boolean, and one class is returning a integer. So for example, there are these three classes. Just a minute. Okay, so let me continue with the cotton playground. So, for example, we have three classes that have almost everything same, but the answer of the three classes are one string, one boolean, and one integer. So for this, what we had to do traditionally is define three classes or three functions. So the repetition of code was not allowed. In the previous segment, like we do not had a repetitive code of like same code to function repetitively. So with this generic data type, what we have is repetitive blocks of code. So just let me provide insight into it. So for example, all these three blocks can be just replaced by the single block. Just let me delete this portion. I guess everyone you have seen this. Yeah. So this is the generic way of representing the thing. So this is the generic way of representing the thing in the Kotlin playground. So what we are doing here is that here we are using this t method to invoke this t method is called generic type t, and we are invoking this method and just providing this parameter of t inside the uh, value or variable which was being changed by time to time, and then using a method call to call this sequence repeatedly. Just let me call this method call set it. Suppose we call a main function, we call our main function, as we all know that it requires the main function to call a Kotlin thing. So just let me run. So okay, just first let me print it so that we can see the PRI. So println is the standard print statement PRI. Println is the standard line by line print operation in Kotlin. Kotlin can have semicolon or not. That is not mandatory to have semicolon. So just let me provide this three times, two and three. So what we are having here is that for three instance of these values, we will be having three different keys or three different object IDs. Like you can see here, three different object IDs are being returned by these three sets. So here we are passing three different values, one for string, one for boolean, and one for int, and getting three different replies by these three different questions. So this is what the benefit of using this generic class or T is, that different data types can be passed on in the class, and a multi-data type class can be made representation in the way of representation rather than using multiple classes. So same class can be reused, or same block of code can be reused, and it's like calling a function again and again with a different parameters. So just let me move to the next topic. Dipayan, the one thing, can you just help me with the slides so that while displaying the slides, uh, would not have to change so much in the screen. I am just sharing you the slide link. Can you just
Okay.
yeah, share the? I guess that would be easier to do this. Okay. So I'm just providing the slide link on the chat section. Just a minute. I have provided the slide link in the chat section. Dipayan, just once take and slide share it if possible.
Okay. Right.
Yes. Just take the slide share option and revert back if possible. Yeah, just make it good. Right, right, right. Great. So just get back to the generic data type and the slide just next after it. The slide next to generic data type. No, 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 no. The previous slide. The previous slide. Previous slide. Yeah, yeah. That's that. So a generic data type is provided when instantiating a class. So it needs to be defined as a part of a class signature. After the class name comes, a left facing angle bracket is followed by the placeholder name for the data facing angle bracket. So as we saw you in the example previously, the generic data type or T parameter is defined inside these brackets. Then we have this uh, val. Val and var, as you know, are constant and variables. Val is stands for the constant values or immutable values. Immutable means the value of the variable cannot be changed during the execution of the program. That means the value of the program cannot be modified, incremented, decremented, or changed. So when we declare this val property name, by property name we mean the object value, that is what data type we are returning. Then there is this generic data type T. Like for last time, the answer property field, that is the variable name, the answer field, we used, what we had done was we had taken this generic data type and had used it in the property field. So this is how the generic data type is constructed. So Dipanda just move to the enum class. So then we have this concept called enum class. So what we have in enum class is that enum class and enum name. So enum name is basically the class name, and in the class name we have these three differentiated parameters. So Kotlin helps you to address the problems of using repetitiveness. So just as you in the previous section we defined the difficulty properties. As you can see here, the difficulty properties of the last section of question answer session, we could have taken as hard question or easy question or medium question. So these three properties needed three different classes to be assigned, as it was seen in the case of last generic classes. But here Kotlin addressed this problem with a special type of class called enum class. So an enum class is used to create types with limited sets of possible values. Example, let us take direction. So let the class be direction. So enum class direction. So what will be the four different cases? The north, south, east, west could be represented by the enum class. So there is no need of additional classes to be done. And then how to represent this uh, case of code? Let me just show you. So just Dipanda, just turn off the screen sharing from your end. Let me just show them the Kotlin playground part. Yeah. So here in the Kotlin playground part, let me just show this enum class. Just let me delete the previous block of code. So here let us have a enum class called difficulty and of three values. Then let us declare a generic class which has three parameters: question text, which is of string type, then this answer, which is of variable generic type, and then the difficulty. And the difficulty will be decided by this difficulty class or the enum class. Then what we will do is we will initialize the thing as we had done last time. That is, we will initialize the three things. Okay, so actually this was supposed to be declared inside the main field. Just a bit of issue. So any value that had to be declared has to be declared in the main function. Let me pass these values inside the main function. Okay. Now I guess the error should be fixed. Yeah, the error is fixed. So as we know, with any Kotlin function, the function starts this execution in the main function. As with any programming language, the program starts execution at the main function. So this is not any exception to that rule. So here what we have is we have initialized three constants. Then we are calling this question with this generic type, one for string, one for boolean, one for integer. Then we are passing these three values. That was first for the string value, that this is the string value, and then we are passing this difficulty level of enum class as difficulty.medium, difficulty.easy, and difficulty.hard. So as we knew, we had created this thing called enum class. So and these were the enum cases. So following that, what we can do is just these cases has already become the object of this class. So what we are doing is we are just calling the object of the class by the method class name dot object. So that is the class name followed by the case class name, and this is the case. So these three are called the cases of a enum class. This easy, medium, and hard. So this also allows us to handle the repetitiveness of code and write code more efficiently. Dipanda, if you can just first let me stop the sharing. If you can just share back the screen. Yeah. So then the next logic is of a thing called data class. So what are data classes? So just let me brief what are data classes. So classes like the question class that we had seen doesn't have method that performs an action. So as we saw in these classes, it was not having a method. So what is a method? A function is also called a method. So it was not having a method or a function inside the class. So this method to be defined to perform some function, a data class must be defined. So defining a class as a data class allows the Kotlin compiler to make some certain assumptions and to automatically implement some methods. For example, toString is called behind the scenes by println function when the data class toString and other methods are implemented automatically, and so and so. So how to convert that question class to a data class? As we saw that when we are printing this question class, that was this generic class, we were given some object codes and not the object itself or not the answer itself. The unique object identifier was being shown. But once we declare this as a data class and then fetch the request, then what we'll be getting is the result of the execution itself. So just let me show what changes have to be made. So Dipanda, just if you could turn off the presentation mode from your side. So let us get back to the Kotlin playground. So as we saw during the last time, when we were printing this, we are getting the some random variables and values which are called unique identifier for the object. The codes that is like question at the rate something 3758 or something like that. What we got in last cases were called unique identifier for object. So let us show you once again what we are talking about. So this is what we are talking about. Let us run it. So this value that we are getting is called unique identifier of the object. So here this thing string this passing of this generic variable on all these things dot medium. This call is a object call. As we know that Kotlin is a subset of Java and Java being an object oriented programming language. So Kotlin is naturally an object oriented programming language as well. So here the use of object can be seen in these lines of code where objects are being passed from one to another, like this medium is an object of class difficulty and this string is a generic object and all these function calls inside without using a function is an object call in itself. This thing question 1.2 string is also object call. So everything that is having this dot or this angle brackets and all the things are object call in itself. So everything that is being called here is an object with a unique object identifier code, and these codes are the object identifier codes. I am just providing this line of code in the chat section. You can also try for yourself. Just a minute. I'm just providing the code. Yeah, I have provided the code. I guess there is some issue with the code formatting, but you can check if it can be copied or not. So once we have set up this object identifier platform, or once we have got this object identifier problem, the next task for us is to fix this issue. So how can this issue be fixed? So just let me show how can this issue be fixed. So let us call a different variable. Okay, just let me get it out there. So let me call this val u equal to, let me define that question. Now this, oh sorry. We have not defined the variable parameters for this data type. First what we have to do is we have to first define this answers and this thing. Just let me just define this thing first. Just a minute. So just a minute. So just let us fix this issue. So what we have to do is we have to first declare this data classes. So just let us declare this, change this as a data class, or use a completely different example if required. Let us take an example of data class. Yes, sir. Data class is important. So let us just face the data class modeling page. Just so, as seen from here, data classes are classes that are used to hold data. That is importantly, these are called data classes, which has some utility functions that are mechanically derivable from the data. So these are called the data classes, like data class user. Then we have this val name and the as the parameters, and we can have this explicit implementation of equals hash code to string, and as we know that to string implementation was done the last time in the print section. So this is the implementation of data classes. So just now let us implement this data class properties inside our Kotlin playground as we had seen the last time. So before doing that, what we have to do is that we have to make this class a data class at first. So first let us make this a data class. Just a minute. Okay. Dipanda, just can you check from the mobile end? Just some people just notified me that there is an issue with the mobile view. That is, the mobile view is not correctly visible, or some other link are getting visible now. Just can you share the correct mobile visibility link with them, Dipanda?
Okay, let me see.
Just once check because just someone pinged me that the mobile visibility is having some issues. Once check if that is actually the issue. Like anybody from you is watching this from mobile, can you say if you are facing any issues? Like all of you who are who is having access to microphone or something. Just if you can, yeah. So just let me check. Uh, no, it's fine. Fine, I guess. Okay, okay, okay. Okay, 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 okay. Just to reshare the link. I guess there was a issue with this. But just like that. So now just let us get back to our uh, Kotlin playground where we are testing out our code. So what we have done this time is that we have made this class a data class. So what we have done, or what I have done here, is that I have just added this data keyword into the class and then run this program. And here we have our answer. That is, the question text is quote the raven. Then the answer is nevermore. Answer is nevermore, and the difficulty is medium. As you can see, the difficulty was set to medium. So the issue of identifier values of object being displayed as a print result was resolved using this data class. So hence this data class helped us to use this parameterized forms of expression, that is accepting values. What is a parameter? So let us first understand what is a parameter, what is a constructor. So what are constructors? So the defining of a class name or accepting a values inside a class name or this thing. These things are called constructors. These things are called constructors. If we pass different values on same name of the class or same class names, then that is called constructor overloading. So overloading is defined as the technique of using same name of class or function but different types of arguments. So the next thing would be what are arguments? Just a second. Okay, okay, okay. Mm, fine. I guess that's the thing from CPT. Great. Okay, okay, great. In the meantime, you will all be having a CP contest on 30th of September. You will get notification soon. Dipanda, is notifications ready for the CP team contest?
Not yet.
Mm, yeah, yeah, okay. So we have to get it done. One more thing, Bananidhi, is everything visible? Like last time you were facing some issues. Is it fixed now? You can just use the chat section. I guess the system has not provided the audio video access to you for some random reason. Okay, so let us check the thing. So as we are discussing about the data class, so hence by using this keyword data, we got our answer. So just let me show you the differences. If we are not using data, so let me just hit this keyword data and run it. So what we are getting is this object identifier ID or object identifier. But as soon as we are using this keyword data, and this is getting converted to a data class, what is happening is that, yeah, the the println statement returns the result of the execution and not the object code. So these were the data classes. So till now, if you have any questions, you can use the chat section. I'm just enabling the Q&A section of the chat. I'm just starting the Q&A section. Just a minute. Yeah, the Q&A section of the chat section has been enabled. So if you are having any queries, you are like free to ask them in the Q&A section. I'll be giving you 5 minutes. Now it's 7:35. I'll be giving you 5 minutes till 7:40 to ask any question regard till this part. That is the NM classes, then the generic classes, and then the data classes. Okay. So Rishi is asking for the code. Rishi, can you just specify the code for which portion? Like for the generic data type or for the like? Let me just show you the coding playground code. Yeah. So this is the code for the enum class. This is the code for the like except the data implementation. This whole part is the generic data type. This T is called the generic identifier. This T thing, generic data type. And then we are implementing the generic data type here using this thing. We are passing the generic data types, and then we are using this enum values here, implementing the enum class. And in the meantime, we are finally we are declaring this class as data class and getting the output of the execution. If you are having any question, you can just any more question, you can just use the Q&A tab or any of the chat tabs. Okay. Dipanda, just can you just once check if the Q&A tag is visible?
Yeah, it is visible.
Yeah, the Q&A tag is visible. Fine. So a quick rapid fire kind of chat here. So like, how many of you are actually using a laptop and coding along with me? Just can you use the chat section to like think how many of you are actually coding along with me? Okay, type I, like Rishi has done. So great, Rishi and others. Are you all supporting along with me? Actually, after this meet, we will also be telling you about uh, a contest on this topic, that is on the Portland Compose workshop to develop an application. We'll be providing you the details of that. So hold on till then, and we'll be providing you all the details of that camp. Okay, so I guess you are not having any questions since you have not asked till now, and we'll be proceeding further henceforth. So Dipanda, if you can just after the data classes. So the next thing we are having is called singleton object. So just first let us understand what an object is. Then we'll be proceeding to a singleton object. So what is an object? An object is an instance of a class. That is a part of a class. A bunch of objects define the behaviors and attributes of a class. So what we have to know is that what is a class first of all. So a class is defined as the behavioral attributes of the object. And then what is the object? It is the instance of a class. So this class and objects are interconnected definitions of each other. So now the next question is, what is a singleton object? So we got to know about the classes. We got to know about the objects. What is a singleton class? Singleton object. So when our code object is having only one instance defined, it is called a singleton object of a singleton class. So since we know that objects define the behavior of a class, so when we are having a singleton object, the class will automatically be a singleton class. So there are certain scenarios where we have only one instances, like when a player starts in a mobile game, uh, and the instance of the playing or the gameplay, there we see the player stats, the statistics of the players. So here we are having just one instance being called, that is the stats of the player, and not everything about the rankings and all the things. The next thing we are having is like interacting with a single hardware, like sending audio through a speaker. So what we are doing here is we are just doing one, we're just performing one task at a time. That is, we are just uh, passing on coded information to the speaker for decoding it and amplifying the signal and processing the audio. Then like an object is used to access a remote data. Example, let us assume from Firebase we are calling a thing or a data. So these are like we are having one instance being called at a time. Or the most usable like example being the authentication, where only one user should be logged. So this at a time or one instance or one application or one time usage thing is being handled by this concept or this operation called singleton object. So now let me define a singleton object. So just let me move to the Kotlin playground again, so that we can define the singleton object. So just this option, yeah. So I'm just moving back to the Kotlin playground, and we will be just deleting this part of the code. So how to declare an object in Kotlin? So the first thing we will be going to learn is how to declare an object in Kotlin. So let us declare an object. So object is declared by object keyword. Object suppose ABC. So as we can see, an object has been declared here. So now let us define some like variables inside this object. Suppose let me consider var a of type int equal to suppose 10, and then var b of type int again equal to 5. Let us assume. Okay, one more thing, we have to allow the spacings to be. So Kotlin is having a specific rule of spacings. So just let me check if any errors are there. Okay, main method is not found because we have not declared the main method. Fine. So now how to access this object in the main method? So let us do that. So let us define the function main. So now we have our main function defined, and now we will be accessing the objects or the information like the variables declared inside an object to get the details answered here. So just let me call it. So first let us define a print statement. So let us define print. Then let me call the object in itself in a string call. So first let me convert it into a string. And these are string inputs using dollars. I guess you have done it last time also. And here we are fetching the object. So object was ABC. Then we are fetching the value dot a, and then we are writing plus. Again we are fetching it ABC dot just a minute dot b is equal to. You can also define it outside, but okay, fine. That's right, 50. Or let us also define it is equal to ABC dot a plus ABC dot b. So just let me check if it is working or not. Yeah. So as you can see, this object has been called. This object ABC has been called with variables a and b, and here we are printing this. This is object A, that is 10, and this is object B. We are calling this object B, that was 5, and then we are displaying the result of the addition, that is ABC dot A plus ABC dot B, that is 50. So this concept is called singleton instancing, or using a single object to perform a single operation. So what operation was performed in this case? Addition operation. So this is a single operation being performed at a time. So these cases of where the single instance is being used is called a singleton object. There are also some complex concepts involved in this, like companion objects and others, and you can like check about them in the latter part, or we'll be providing the materials to check it on your own about the advanced concepts. So in this part, if anyone is having any question, kindly ping it. If you are having any question, kindly chat it. Or if you are having the mic access, kindly use the mic and you can just ask the question. So any question? Mm, Rishi, you can just unmute yourself and ask any question if you are having. Okay, so Rishi is having no question. So Rishi, are you doing this alongside on Kotlin Playground? And have you tested it on yourself if it's working or not? Yeah, great. So what about others? Divyanshu, are you also coding along? Okay, Divyanshu seems to have left a couple of minutes ago, I guess. I saw him. Fine. Let us proceed with the next concept. Dipayan, just I'm sharing the like stopping the screen share. You can present the next slide. Okay. So the next thing, as we saw, is that there is this thing called companion object. That was the next concept which we are going to discuss. And also, this is the object name dot property name, as we use object name dot property that it described under the object that in the form of variables, is how we used to call it. So the next slide, please. So then there is the next concept of array in Kotlin. So just 1 minute, just let me plug in my charger into the laptop for the array concept. Okay. So just a minute, just let me start the laptop. Okay, so we are resuming from the array in Kotlin section. Great. So the next topic of discussion of us is array in Kotlin. So just first let me provide the uh, just let me initialize the array functions. Okay, fine, great. Array in Kotlin. So as with any user, so these things like arrays and lists are called collections in Kotlin. So an array is a collection that is being used in Kotlin. So just let me show you how to declare a array. So just let me show you how to get like declare an array and how to access them or how to declare them. So just let me define the just if you can help me out by yeah, stopping the screen share. I guess more 10 minutes of content is left for today. It will get end by 8 or 8:10 at max. This is the declarative method of an array. So an array can be of string of. So just let me show you the accessing methods also. So like let me define the main function, fun main, and let me like print this. So as you can see, there is this thing called like this Java string, and then there is declaring this object reference number. So an array cannot be declared like this. So how we have to instead print it is by using this indexes of planets, and then there is like zero. Now you will be getting this Mercury as answer. So then we can use a looping statement and then get all the other elements. Just let me define a loop to get all the elements in output. So just let me implement a loop here. So for I n, let me just check 0, 1, 2, 3. So 0, 3. I guess this should work. Okay. I have to print I. Right, right. So as you can see, this is the for looping statement. So this stands for 0 and this stands for less than equal to 3. So 0 to less than equal to 3, and then we are printing println rock planets and then I. So here you can see the microwave Venus, Earth and Mars, all the values of the uh, array has been executed and is in the output section. So if you have any questions regarding this portion, you can just ask in the chat section. Rishi and Shantu, have you completed this part? Like, have you already completed this part of code execution? And, like it's working on your end. Yeah, you can just test it out with the different data types and different data patterns. Like you can make this and then you can like change this to like you can just make this one, and here also you can just use two. Then here you can use three, and here you can use four, and then check the execution if it's working or not. So as you can see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So just change the data type of array here, and then you can just declare the array elements here. Great. So now I will request Dipayan to move on with the next slide. So the next topic of discussion is lists. So what are lists? So list is also a collection method in Kotlin. The next to the array concept. So just let us define what are lists. So as we know, a list is an ordered resizable collection, typically implemented as a resizable array. So when an array is filled to the capacity and you try to insert a new element, the array is copied to a new bigger array. So this is sort of like the dynamic allocation method. So the list is dynamically increased to accumulate the new elements. So just let me show you how it works. Just a minute. Just let me show you how this works. So suppose we have this array. Just a minute. So just Dipanda, just please stop sharing this. I'm just moving back to the Kotlin playground. Yeah. So what will be uh, changing here is that we will first be making this from val to var, and the next thing we'll be doing is that messages and okay, just sitting at top level declaration. Got it. So there is an issue with this top level declaration. So we have to declare a list of instead of our normal use. Just let me change it. This is array of, and we have to change it to list of. Got this. Okay, 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 okay. Got deleted. Now I guess we have defined it correct. The list should not be kept. Right. Okay, let us check what issues we are still having. Just let me check with the list. Okay, 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 okay. I got it. List was the main function not declared? Okay, 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 okay. Got it. The list should be declared inside the main function. Portion where it is. It is declared a list of values in this one. So let us run this solar system and then just make it. Now just let us check if this one. There's a mismatch up with let me check what is the mismatch. But indoors expected. Okay, 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 okay. Has it been declared anywhere else? Desktop. Okay, okay, okay. And this is all solar system, solar system. Input type is string, but indoors expected. Weird. So just let me check a file. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there is total. Let me try 0 dot dot 7. Yeah. So it's now working perfectly. So all the values are being displayed here. So great. This was the concept of list. So just let me show you some more interesting facts about the list. So you can check the size of a list here. Just let me show you. Print size. I hope I have used the correct keyword. Solar system dot size. Okay, sorry, the brackets will not be used. Just let me check if it's working or not. Okay, okay, okay. Just bracket is missing. Okay, I got the thing. We have declared this for loop here. If we are using this, we have to use it. Previous the for loop. Yeah, yeah, right. Just let me make this print ln. Yeah, great. So as we can see, the size of this list is 8, as evident from this dot size uh, object method call. Then using this for loop, we are calling all the elements of the list. There is also another concept as we called, that is adding an element to the list, which is not possible otherwise. So what we have to do is we have to add a mutable keyword in front of the list. Then let's say we add the size and this one. Then after this, what we did is we did an addition of, suppose Pluto. Suppose we did what is solar system dot add Pluto, and then we are just using this whole concept again and then dropping it back again. So this time it should be 8 because one more thing has been added. Just let me check it out. Mutable list of, I guess, MUPABLE, issue with the spelling or what? Oh yeah, got it. This time this will be caps. Right. Yeah, great. So as we can see, the first list had 8 elements. Then the second list has 9 elements, and this Pluto has been added to this new list. So I would request you to try it out for yourself, and if you are having any issues regarding this, you can just comment down in the chat. This was the, I guess, the last portion for today. Done. Great. Dipanda, if you can just move on to the next slides. Dipayan, hello. Yeah. So just present the thank you slide. So thank you all for attending this session. And if you are having any more queries, you can just get back to me. My mail is dbarun at gdsc.in. So this is my mail, debarun at gdsc.in. So if you are having any question, you can just get in touch with me via this mail. And thank you for the session. Tomorrow, the part two of the session will be held, and it will be taken by the Dipayan. And thanks to all again.